Alofa Alofa, and welcome into another episode of the 1 through 5 Footy Show, proudly brought to you by the WesWes Network. You can go check us out over at our new home on YouTube, WesWes Sports. You can also go check us out on all social media platforms, as well as the home, weswesnet.com, where you'll be able to find all the other podcasts and articles written by our very own columnists, including also Bob Savalio. Welcome, Us. How you been, man?
How's it, boys? Yeah, been good. It's been a good start to the week. Looking forward to breaking down that awesome weekend of footy.
Nice. Well, welcome in the host of the Counter Ruck podcast, Stace. How you been, Us?
Cheers. Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, been good. How you been, Us? All good?
All good, bro. Great, actually. Off that weekend, back into work, but it's a great start to the weekend. We'll get into that. We'll touch on our wires. It's all wires again. Our colleague, the Indigenous guy from overseas, he's still not synced time-wise. Maybe after Easter, maybe after the Lord rises again and his team get a dub, we'll see him back on the airwaves. But let's get straight into it. Also, we'll come straight to you, Stace. Let's look at our awards, our All Eyes awards first. Who you got in there, man?
Yeah, my all eyes on me this week actually goes to, not much surprise, the New Zealand Warriors. And not just for what they're doing on the field, but just for what they're building off the field. So I've been lucky enough to go to both home games so far this season. And honestly, the word I keep coming back to is just the experience of it all. The atmosphere has been electric. From the moment you walk into the stadium, there's that energy, there's noise. It actually feels like an event. So even the halftime entertainment has been top tier. So in that first week, they had Savage performing. Last week, I think that guy was Luke Funga, who was part of Tomorrow People. And it just adds to that whole occasion. It doesn't feel like a break in the game. It feels like a part of the show. And I can't help, doing the counter, comparing that to what we're seeing in Super Rugby. So if you go to a Blues game, the footy might actually be good. Just the overall experience just doesn't hit the same. It feels a bit more flatter. It's a lot more quieter. And it's nowhere near as engaging for the fans. So what the Warriors are doing right now is bigger than just winning games, which is still important. They're creating an environment that people want to be part of. Families, fans, first-timers, everyone's getting some value out of it when they walk through the gates. And for me, that's what why the Warriors are getting the all eyes on me this week, because they're not just building a team, they're building that movement. So, yep.
Nice award, bro. Before I come to your all eyes, Bob, you've been to the games as well. Like, just your thoughts as well, from what Stace was saying in terms of the atmosphere there.
Yeah, man, Stace ain't wrong. One of the coolest things about the Warriors games is where you go and get the food and that. It's right there, like by the field. So you can get yourself a hot dog or whatever to eat, and you can stand there and watch the boys warm up. Like, they're so accessible in terms of being right there, which is why fields like Eden Park and that, they don't really work as like a league ground, because you're so used to getting the league games right up close. Yeah. When they have league games at like Eden Park, you feel like you're a million miles away, and you're kind of used to that being for rugby, because that's always how Eden Park's been at rugby games. But it's not the same for when you have the Warriors play there, or any sort of league event that happens there. Like, Go Media Stadium is like, it's like that whole, because it's in the crater of a former volcano, right? And the whole thing's just been sort of excavated out, and it fits right perfect. Like, it's not the biggest venue, like in terms of crowd capacity. You can only go up to like 25,000 at a stretch. But the atmosphere that it creates, and the, that buzz around the field, man, it's crazy. And it was funny because over the weekend they had I think the Blues were at home, the Warriors were at home, Auckland FC were playing at home, and so they had this like promotional thing where if you're coming from out of town, you could buy this ticket that could get you to the Warriors game on Friday. Saturday you were at the Blues, Sunday you were at the Auckland FC, and like I had heard sort of people talk about how, man, we'd gone to the Warriors and it was like this amazing, crazy game atmosphere, and then we went to the Blues and it didn't match what was on the field. Like the Blues were playing really good footy, but just the
It
crowd.
didn't feel like it was.
Nah, man, like the crowd's real bare at rugby games, and it doesn't matter how fired
the
up
team plays.
the team plays. It kind of reminds you of how the New Zealand Sevens tournament down in Wellington just deteriorated and died a really slow, painful death. It was like this culture of amazing rugby games that you used to go to watch it, and people would dress up, and it was this carnival atmosphere. And that's why it stopped in Wellington, because people weren't watching the rugby anymore. They were just going to get drunk and dress however the hell they wanted, but they didn't care about what was on the field, and then they try to bring it back in Hamilton, same sort of thing. So, man, Go Media, whatever they're doing at the Warriors HQ, it's got families. We talked about it last week, tons, like the family vibe is there. Everyone's coming in early, not only just to get food, but they're coming to watch, you get the real diehard fans who are there watching the reserves, and then you've got the, when the women's games start up, even though they're home grounds down in Waikato, those sometimes have games up here, but, everyone comes early to watch those games or to come and just get into their environment. You just see families standing there watching the drummers at the entrance, the flipping merch shops getting smashed, all the merchandise is selling out, and all those guys make a killing. And so, yeah, man, the environment, as Stace touched on, it's amazing. Like they've got it down pat, and they involve you. Everything's interactive. The laser light shows, like you scan a barcode, and like I said last week, your phone light's going off. So whatever they're doing, man, they're doing it right. And when you get the CEO come down and he's just in amongst the fans, like that shit's cool. So,
all right, nice pump on the Warriors there. Let's come to your Eyez, Bob. What was good over the weekend?
Yeah, man, lots of good things, but can't go past the Warriors, bro. Like the Warriors is our team, and they're playing such good footy at the moment. And so my all eyes goes to man who was given 1 minute to sort of gear up after Kaea got injured during the warm-up. And so he had to come on and he played a whole 80 minutes. So Leka Halasima scored 2 tries, was just amazing on defense, ran for over 117 odd meters. The man is just an inspiration out there. He's geeing up his teammates. He's doing all the right things, and it's really exciting to watch. And so one of the cool things, yes, he scored 2 tries, but his defense was on point in the weekend. So I really enjoyed the fact that he didn't let anyone through on his edge. Not as much as probably old Kaea. He gives the odd missed tackle away during his game. So for me, all eyes was Leka Halasima.
Yeah, nice horse. And I heard Metcalf gave him a good rap, just saying his attitude at training too. Like he's always keen to learn new stuff and ask. Like he'll come and kind of ask them like little tips and stuff. So even just that kind of little rap from Metcalf, from him knowing that knows that he's still learning and really curious, is he's gonna be us. Like he already is, but like he's gonna be something real amazing. And I think I like the way Webby's managing that too as well. Just like he's planning to bring him off the bench. I don't know. Before we come back, your thoughts on that, Stace? Like how he's trying to manage his time, or do you think he's ready to be in there?
Yeah, I think Webby. A lot of people, you see the YouTube highlights and all the rest of it. He can come up with some spectacular plays. But Bobby touched on a really good point. It's the 80 minutes. You got to do the 1%ers and do the tackling and all the chasing back on defense and all that other sort of stuff that comes with being a workaholic back rower. So that's sort of where Jacob Laban gets a lot of favor. He doesn't do a lot of flashy stuff, but he chases, he does all those little things. And I think that's something that's been missing out of Leka's game. He's been spectacular. He can score amazing tries and do amazing things. And then he sort of like drifts out for a little bit, whereas if you want to be that guy who gets a lot of minutes, You got to be the guy who's doing the defense. You got to be chasing back, saving tries, doing those little things. Sometimes the things that goes a little bit unnoticed. And I think that's the thing that I like what you mentioned, Bob, because we know he's spectacular, but sometimes you just got to get in the grind to do that part of it as well. And that's the part of his game that I think he's still getting the balance right and working on. And I think we saw that on the weekend. So we're getting to a point where we've got 25 guys trying to fit into the top 17, and I don't know who's going to miss out and who's going to be getting minutes. Do you think Mitch Barnett's back soon and Metcalf and all this? We'll probably touch on that a bit later, but I'm struggling to see who's going to get dropped to fit these guys in. So it's going to get interesting, which is good.
Good problem
to have. It really creates that competition. These guys will know that if I'm sort of 5% off, I could be the one who's on the chopping block. So I think Leck has sort of thought, here's a great opportunity for me, and I'm gonna take it, and he has to his credit.
Nice. My All Eyes award, actually, it's All Warriors awards night. I'm going with the obvious Tana Boyd. Just his work that he did around the field, guiding the guys. That kicking game he has just steadies the ship for us. Like, credit to the boys' defense as well, but just his kicking game, just steadying, especially, when Chanel went off, there's a little hiccup there. He went into dummy and threw that random ball that just went behind everyone. Hey. So we kind of got the ball back off that, but, it could have been easy to just kind of, shucks, things are off now. Like, that ball going behind, getting dropped. But yeah, just the way he steadied the ship and that, the defensive work from the boys, we'll touch on it, but just that 40-20, what it meant to, and like Bobby, I don't know, like the crowd seems more educated, and the beauty as it comes through the screens too, when you watch the replays, you hear everything you hear on the ground. It's not like kind of, it's just in the pockets, or maybe just, it's like mic'd up or something, because it comes through the TV as well. So yeah, my award goes to Tana Boyd, just what he's doing. Like Bob called it early in the season, you were hoping he kind of has that run that he kind of showed at the end of last season with the New South Wales Cup team. And yeah, you're seeing that, just really owning and having that confidence. So yeah, my flowers this weekend go to Tana Boyd. Just what he's doing for the team.
Just on that, I don't know. Just on that quickly. Sorry, I don't know who does the Dally M points, but I remember I listened to you guys last week. Bob, you gave Tana Boyd All Eyes on Me. I thought he was bloody awesome last week. He only got 1 point from the Dally M's last week.
It was trash.
He got, I think he got 4 points, which is a bit better, but he's been, to me, obviously in my biased opinion, he's been the standout player of the comp so far. Him and probably,
Well,
Caleb
even
Palmer
experts say he's the best. Like you have like Matty
They
Johns
gave
and those
Tedesco
guys,
all the
Brady
points
Miller.
last week.
Yes. It's just like, we just write down football guys. We didn't watch the
their
game.
asses kicked effort. I was like, hey.
And I'm like, yeah, so on the back of that, man, whoever does the Dally M's, can you please do it properly?
Exactly. Yes. Surely they need a those guys should be getting Kaea Kele. Anyway, we'll get into our Kaea Kele awards. I'll start. I've got a pretty soft one. My Kaea Kele goes to, it was kind of soft. We'll talk on them more, but mine goes to the Cowboys. Like, just one play that kind of epitomizes like what's going on there is Luki and Tomalolo hanging off the back of Adam Dewey as he walks over the line. What is going on with the Cowboys that they just like, wherever the trailer, what the, like how can the players of that much experience, well, I know Luki's new, but still you expect big boys like that, and Adam Dewey just marches his way over the line. So my Kaea Kele goes to whatever's going on at the Cowboys to allow that for your one of your most experienced front rowers. We've seen amazing stuff from him, and to allow that guy to just walk over him. So my Kaea Kele award goes there. We'll come back to you, Bobby, for your Kaea Kele for the weekend. Something different.
It's not often that I go back to with my Kaea Keles, but it's kind of hard to not shit all over Brisbane Broncos right now. They are the reigning champions, and
fair enough.
They are just looking like absolute trash. And I mean, we did the same with the Panthers last year, right? When the Panthers had that terrible start, they were reigning champs, and we were giving them shit. In round 12, they were dead last. And I was like, these guys are just, what the hell happened? Has the team finally broken? Have they finally given away all of the spare parts? And now we're down to the scraping the absolute bottom of the barrel. And then they fired up and came back alive towards the back end of the season. But the Broncos, man, I don't know what is happening at the Broncos, but they are super disjointed. Like, they score 2 quick tries, and then all of a sudden they think that's okay, that's good. We're only playing the Eels. Like, it came across after they scored those 2 early tries that they just thought that they were the shit, and we're only playing the Parramatta Eels. We're just going to roll over these guys. But Para came to play, man, and, you know, we spoke about it probably last week just before the game about how, you know, when Para in that first round against the Storm, they had that upset with their prop rotation with Sam Tuputi not coming on. And I was like, well, actually, this will probably be a better showing for the Parramatta Eels if they don't have those HIAs and things happening. They get their rotation. This is their proper sort of start. Last week, they can probably scratch it. But man, they really took it to the Broncos, and they kind of matched them step for step. And it was really irritating the Broncos seeing Para come back. And then they kind of just fell off. And I was thinking, this is where they talk about players like Reece Walsh. They talk about players like Ezra Mam, and you know, these guys are meant to be the face and the future of the NRL because he's so electric and blah, blah, blah. I really hate that narrative of Reece Walsh. Like, I really do. Like, I've always bagged him. Yeah, man, I've always bagged him because of his lack of maturity and just, you know, and Simon, if he was here, he'd probably say, nah, man, you can't hold him down. That's just how he is. He's just an electric force of nature. You can't suppress that stuff by trying to apply your rules. And it's like, bro, he's going to lose your games more than he's going to win if he keeps playing the way he is. He's going to become the Sean Johnstone of the Brisbane Broncos. You know, we expected great things from Sean, and he had all the potential in the world. Similarly, Reece Walsh is for the Broncos, can do amazing things, and then we'll switch off and I don't know what the hell's going on. Now, this isn't to shit all over the Broncos because, you know, they are a stacked team on paper, but they are the champs, and they're kind of coming out looking like they don't want to play together this year for some reason. I don't know what's happening at Broncos HQ, but man, there's a real disconnect, not only from the coach to his players, but just in amongst the playing group. Like what the hell's happening? And, you know, Payne Haas will come out,
not
or
getting
Hakeem.
the ball. That's for one thing.
So
Might as well just
Hakeem
gone
Haas.
and held the flag for the touch judge. Because Tony's just like, sorry, I got a new contract, so I'm just going to do my own thing.
So that's the thing, man. That whole mentality of wanting to fucking, man, we got embarrassed last week. You got a big far more. Now let's come on. And yeah, they played a little bit better, but then that whole killer instinct when you thought that they had that a little bit of ascendancy over Para, I thought, okay, yeah, the Broncos are going to kick on now. And they didn't, man. And that's what's a little bit concerning if you're a Broncos fan, that you've got the team that's pretty much the same as your grand final winning squad last year, but they just don't seem to have that same sort of drive to win. I know we're only game 2, but this weekend it's going to be tougher competition against the Storm. But if they don't at least put up a good showing, you know, you didn't mind as a Warriors fans over the years losing if it looked like your team was trying, you know, but these guys are losing. It just doesn't look like they're trying. So, sorry, man, Broncos back-to-back. Please don't make it back-to-back and do better against the Storm this week. But Kele for me goes to the Broncos.
Stace, your Kele to round it out, mate.
Yeah, I know Simon's probably looking at logging off. He's probably thinking this is a Warriors love fest and a Broncos hate fest. So I'll bring it a bit more even for you, Siles. So my guy Kele goes to Cameron George, the CEO of the Warriors. So now, before the Warriors fans start jumping on me, let me sort of just explain the context. So it's actually at the game between the Warriors and the Raiders on the weekend, and like I said before, the atmosphere was outstanding. I thought the crowd was loud. The teams were playing well. Our team was playing well, and there's a lot of energy in the stadium. And at one point, the Warriors started doing the Raiders' famous Viking clap back at them. They're basically sort of mocking the opposition. Now, in fairness, there is some history there. So when the Raiders won in Auckland last year, some of the players openly celebrated and mocked the Warriors crowd. I think it was Tamale done it, and then Joey Tarps was doing his crybaby eyes and all the rest of it. So a lot of fans probably saw that as a bit of payback. But where it crossed the line for me was when Cameron George, he got involved and he started doing the crying eyes towards the Raiders as well, and just mimicking Joey Tarps from last year. So look, the fans, they get caught up in the rivalry and the banter of sport, and that's what creates atmosphere. But when you're the CEO of a club, you represent the organization, the players, and the game itself. So there's a different standard that comes with that role. So for me, that moment just felt a little unnecessary for a CEO. So enjoy the win. I love you as a CEO. I think you've done great things for the Warriors. Celebrate with your fans and everything, but leave the taunting to the crowd. So Cameron George, mate, Guy Gilly for the week.
Oh, that's a harsh one. That's it's your award, so I'll let it go. It's your award. We'll let you give your award. I thought it was great. I was on the other side doing the exact same. So he's a fan. It just shows as much as he's a CEO, he's still a fan at heart. So yes, it's each to their own. All right, let's get into some great news though. We kind of avoided this as an award, but it has to be probably the hottest topic, and so we'll start at the top. We'll come back to you, Stace, on AJ getting the record over Ken Irvine's 50-year record. Just your thoughts on it. Man, it's a huge achievement for him, and just his longevity. Sai talked about how heaps of those tries before back in the days was just catch and dive over the line. But I mean, to get that many and such a long-standing record, I don't know. Did you catch the game? I guess we were all traveling home straight after the Wires, so I don't know if you got to catch it live. Him scoring that second try.
Yeah, I just missed it. I just missed it live, so I got to watch it. I watched it, some of the replays of it and stuff. Just one thing, I found really interesting about that whole Alex Johnstone moment, outside of the record itself, obviously, was just how iconic it felt,
Yeah.
Got the crowd running onto the field, everyone celebrating with them. It almost had like that old school rugby league feel.
It was amazing to be able to,
be able to run on to the field and stuff. So, moments like that don't really happen very often anymore. It just sort of added to how big that achievement actually was, which you touched on earlier, Tons, a long-standing record. I suppose from a different side, here's something that I sort of struggled to wrap my head around a little bit. Now, we're talking about a player who's just broken a 50-year record. And he's passing Ken Irvine. I've come on this podcast before saying that Ken Irvine should be an immortal. That's how highly regarded he is as a winger. That's one of the most untouchable records in the game. And, when you think about sort of Alex Johnstone, I don't think many people would describe him as sort of a world-class winger. He hasn't played Origin. He hasn't really been a consistent sort of level player. And he's not really talked about in that elite category with some of the greats. And I think that sort of raises another sort of interesting side question about what actually defines, greatness in rugby league. Is it all those rep honours, all the rep teams that you make? Is it the highlight moments? Or is it just like we're seeing from Alex Johnstone, just consistency over a long period of time? Because Johnstone, he hasn't got the high profile of some of these other superstar wingers. But, what he's done is shown up year after year and deliver at an incredibly high level. Maybe that sort of kind of consistency doesn't always get the recognition it deserves until a moment like this, sort of forces everyone to take notice. So just really wondering where Alex Johnstone sits in history, really, as a winger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bobby, your thoughts? I like that though, like just because it was such a moment, like watching those scenes on TV, like, ask anyone, like, name me 5 people who are immortals. They might struggle, but then, like, you always hear of Ken Irvine, and I guess that moment, like our generation, you'll remember that scene. It's like those Winfield, like those old school Winfield Cup, like highlights that you see on the Turner 10. It'll be one of those that'll always get replayed. And for everyone that was there, it must be an amazing moment just to kind of tell that you're there, because it did look like just ants coming in and just swarming the field. It looked so cool. It was like, yeah, just buzzy. And I think it was overwhelming for him. Like, he kind of just thought it'd be a big thing. So just seeing all those people and then just a game stopping, I didn't think he thought it would be that kind of, like, everyone have to go in the sheds and stuff and kind of warm up again. So I think it was a great moment. Bobby, did you catch it when you got home?
Yeah, I missed it too. So yeah, I had to watch it back again after. I think I rewound during that 16-minute break just to try and see what had happened. But I was just checking to see how long it took Ken Irvine to get that record, and he did it in 236 first grade games. So he did it in 8 less games than AJ. So, it wasn't like Alex Johnstone took an extra 50, 100 games or something to score it, to beat the record. Like, it was almost at the same sort of clip. So, only 8 games separate him and Ken Irvine from achieving that record feat. But I don't think AJ's just going to stop there. Like, he's got the rest of the season. He's heading off to that PNG team, eh?
Yeah.
Is he, or he's put his hand up to be one of the first PNG players to sign me? I'm going to be ready. That's in 2 years' time. So he wants to be there in 2028, which will be year 15 or something for him, because he debuted in 2014. But yeah, man, it was surreal. Like, this just adds to what's making rugby league at the moment really a really awesome product in terms of watching. And they've got these highlight reel moments. They're able to sort of attract lots of eyes to the game at the moment, and things like getting a 50-something-year-old record broken. That news is going to travel around the world, up to the UK and the Northern Hemisphere, all of the people that are trying to promote rugby league over in the States. And AJ might not be that winger of note. Like, he's not going to be that guy that everyone sort of remembers for being the fastest or the strongest or scoring the most hat tricks or being super elusive or anything. Like, he's just come and done his job, really. And yeah, I guess Stace does have a point. Like, do you put him up there because he's broken the record, or is this another one of those like LeBron James longevity type stats? But it's like, well, to be honest, it's super hard to try and get all those tries. And look at all the people that all of his contemporaries that he's played with who are there or thereabouts. Like, Billy Slater's no longer there, but Daniel Tupou's still there. He's not far off getting 190 or something he's on. So he's older than AJ, but if the Roosters want to kick him the ball a bit more, you probably have an opportunity to score a few more tries. But yeah, like, what does it tell you that AJ is just a really awesome finisher? Like, he's just good at being at the end of a really great backline. He's been on the end of backlines with GI, and now with Latrell. He's scored so many tries when Reynolds was there at Souths, and he scored like 104 odd tries in a 4-year stint between 2019 or something and 2023. So yeah, I mean, it's been awesome to watch and to be a part of, and to be alive, I guess, to have one of those records broken. It's it's a pretty cool thing, you know. Good on him. Like, he's an indigenous Papua New Guinea boy who's, you know, he probably didn't think he'd come and have the type of career that he's had. One club man, he's been a stalwart South Sydney representative for them. So, you know, it's only going to do great things for the game of rugby league, having that try scoring record now broken, and now AJ's just going to add to it. So, yeah, it was a good weekend, man. And like you said, man, getting all those fans running out into the field really did make it feel. It was a retro type feeling, man. Seeing all of those fans running on, and that poor kid that ran on and was just getting manhandled because he was the first one.
What is real?
He was a Roosters fan. It was this little kid, and the security guard was going hundies on him until he realized, oh, now I'm just gonna look like a dick, because everyone was coming on trying to take selfies. I don't know if he actually followed through and did anything with that poor Roosters fan, but good on him, man. He was a Roosters supporter, but he ran out onto the field and, you know, patted AJ on the back before he got manhandled away from him. But yeah,
well, he did good timing, because I thought it was a player too, and then like, hey, they're pulling him off. Like, oh no, it's not even a little kid.
Good on the security guards for supporting.
Yeah, because there was meant to be a fine. So before I move on, your thoughts, Stace, Ebenezer? You don't like Cameron George doing the Suki Baba? Ebenezer cancelling out anyone getting a fine?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind it. You know, you think about how iconic that moment is. If the crowd doesn't run on, it's just like a normal try. And then you're just replaying it and you're not really quite getting that iconic moment. So I think allowing the crowd to come on creates that. They will play that for the next 10 odd years, unless Daniel Tupou breaks his own Alex Johnstone's record. They're going to play that for, 10 years plus. Him scoring that try and everyone running on the field. That created the moment. And you're right, I saw that Roosters dude jump on first and everyone like, oh, nah, get this guy away. Get him off. We need South people around here. But yeah, I thought, we know Albanese is a diehard South fan. So he was one of the ones who ran on the field as well. So yeah.
Good on him.
Good on. Yeah, celebrate those moments. We don't get that 50 years. And you think about Alex Johnstone, if he plays another 2-3 more years, that record's going to be hard to beat again. He could get closer to sort of 250 type tries, and then, who knows how long that's going to take to catch. So, yeah, I'm okay with it, to be fair.
All right, moving along. We keep talking about the product of rugby league and, everything that's great about it. So one of the rule changes that seems to be creating quite a lot of rumours and a lot of talk is the 6 again rule. Just the changes there and the impact it's having on the game. Some of the teams are kind of commenting about it's creating these blowouts, frustration around not understanding what the 6 agains are for, or they're getting told is ruck infringement. It's unclear. And so there's a lot of confusion around that. People, it's to avoid the penalties, to stop guys like Dearden, slowing down the ruck, the Cameron Smith years of him questioning everything, being able to control how the game's played to his pace. But the product, we're saying, there's a lot of games on at the moment, and just that speed. I'll come over to you first, Bobby. Just your thoughts on this new 6 again rule and what it's doing to the game. So, you enjoying it? You kind of seeing the impact at the moment?
I think we're seeing teams sort of play differently a bit. Some are still playing like it's 2025, and they haven't really sort of taken advantage of the fact that if you get caught ruck infringement inside your own 40, it's not a penalty anymore. They're just going to keep rolling those 6 agains. And so, I think we spoke about it before we came on. Like they've mentioned that the teams that are being strategic about it in that 20 and between that 20 and 40 meter line inside their own half, they'll run up and give away a ruck infringement to allow their defensive structure to sort of set up and then tackle an 8 tackle set. So they'll be fresh and they'll try and push back on an 8 tackle set defensively. Where other teams are sort of stuffed up a bit is they'll try and keep clean, but then like through fatigue or whatever, they're giving away fourth and fifth tackle rack infringements, and they're already sort of fatigued by the end of a set of six, and then the chances of giving away another rack infringement because of fatigue just compounds even more. So, smart teams are able to sort of roll downfield, and then you'll see them fighting for their lives on those fourth and fifth tackles to try and get up and to try and take it too long, man. And then next minute it's a penalty. Whereas the smart teams, man, they're doing that a lot earlier in the tackle count. So yes, they'll give away a rack infringement penalty, but it's a strategic advantage for them. So they're not caught off guard being super tired and then fatigue on fatigue with repeat sets. That just places you under all sorts of pressure. And apparently the teams that are in the top 4 at the moment have been the ones who've been better able to adapt to that new rule. And everyone else is sort of floundering outside of the 8 at the moment are ones who haven't. So, reading up articles where teams heard the new rules and thought it'd be all about fitness. So they've been smashing each other during the off season trying to get fitter. But other teams have realized it's not about being fit, it's about being smarter. So yeah, it's been cool to watch. Like, it's sped the game right up. And again, it's about that product. They haven't introduced like a major dramatic rule like how rugby union was going through that whole crazy phase of bringing in different rules, the scrum rules, different bloody contexts, all sorts of stuff that really hamstrung rugby union during that period where they were trying to get the balance right. Man, rugby league they've only done a small tweak, and the game is so much faster, and it's so much like cooler to watch. Like, even the teams that you don't normally watch, or the teams that you'd normally think are going to get smashed, like the Eels against a team like the Broncos, those guys are being super competitive because this rule is a real equalizer around the middle of the field there. So if you haven't caught onto it yet now, and you're thinking about it strategically and how to use it to your advantage, then you're going to get left behind and you're going to be playing catch up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I kind of saw it as like I enjoy it, like the 6 agains. Like it just keeps that game rolling. But yeah, like that strategic thing. Like, Stace, do you see that adoption? Because I guess that was the same like when they first saw the 6 again, and they kind of really thought players like Damien Cook would really, fire from those rules, and he really struggled to adjust to it. And so now it's like Bob's saying, like a small tweak, but like for only 4 of the teams to be able to kind of click. Like, I don't think of the way Bob was saying, like, yeah, take it early so that you can, absorb an 8 tackle or a 9 tackle set and then reset properly, rather than, get it at the end of the set and now you're 12 back to back and tired to go 18. Is it an adjustment thing? You reckon everyone will catch up eventually?
I hope so, because we're seeing a couple of blowouts and all the rest of it. But Bob's right. Well, yeah. I mean, the 2 teams who have given away the most 6 agains has been Melbourne and Penrith. So strategically giving them away.
Yeah.
Like, as you say, there's ways of doing it, and then there's other ways of not doing it. And the top teams always figure things out early. So you think about Melbourne, they were the wrestling team forever, and everyone said, oh, they're just a good wrestling team. Changed the rules, and now they changed their tactics, and they were the first ones to adapt to all these new rules, playing this faster game. So it does feel like the good teams figured it out earlier than the rest, and we're seeing that play out. But, I mean, it feels like we are seeing more 6 agains than we sort of saw last year, and I'm starting to wonder if that might be having a bigger effect on results than we might think. So I like the idea, like you guys mentioned, I like the idea behind 6 again. It's great. It speeds the game up, reduces the stoppages, and it punishes teams that are slowing down the ruck. But what we're seeing at the moment is teams getting caught in these cycles where they're having to defend repeat sets over and over and over again, which you mentioned through the fatigue, Bob. So you might defend a full set, you get hit with a 6 again, defend again, another 6 again. Suddenly you've made sort of 20, 25 tackles in a row without a break. And at that point, it's not just about the structure anymore, all the plans that you came up with. Fatigue does become a factor. So once fatigue sets in, that's when the line breaks come in and missed tackles. And games can blow up pretty quickly. And I think we've seen some lopsided scorelines in the opening rounds. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I'm not saying the ruling's bad. I understand why they're doing it. And like you've already touched on, I think it has improved the game overall. Maybe the question is more, is it being overused? Because it feels like you're getting more six agains than we've got previously. And, just the game of rugby league, when the momentum swings that heavily in one side's favour, it can be hard for that other team to sort of wrestle that momentum back.
I heard a theory, a rumor, that there could be a plan that this allows the introduction of that kick rule, that kickoff rule, possibly. This instigates that the other team gets to receive to give that advantage over. Could be an end game for this.
We
kind of sounds, because everyone was against that.
Implemented
kind
yet,
of got dumped. Yeah.
Oh, did it? It got dumped.
Yeah.
That rule.
Yeah, it got dumped. Like kind of when they went through the review, they went nah. So it kind of got off the books. But I've heard there's a potential like this could be the way to bring it back as a leveler. The six again stay, but then they bring that back in as a leveler. I don't know. Does it make it rubbish? Does it help that momentum swing?
You mean like you got scored against and then you want the ball to be kicked up to you? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's an option. I think when they discussed it, the scoring team gets to decide. So it's still like a dumb thing, like kids like backyard, like, oh, all right, we'll kick off to you this time.
So
like, how no? Like it's just
out of the goodness
grand final time, like
of Melbourne Storm's heart.
So yeah, I don't know if those are the real details, if that's where the end game is, because it kind of maybe I don't know. Like it's like in terms of that, like if they just keep the six again and they don't see the progress, but now these blowouts, do you see that helping Stace if they kind of wrangled that back in?
I don't know. There's always that law of unintended consequences, and like Bob mentioned, you can change the rules, but guess who figures it out first? The Melbourne Storm figures it out first. The Penrith Panthers figure out the loopholes first. So again, it feels like we're in that same spot where the other teams are catching up to the usual suspects. So I mean, yeah, I'm sure that Craig Bellamy or whoever can find a loophole to make that work for him, even though they try to make that not the case. So I'm a bit 50-50 about changing the rules. If we think about last year, I thought that was possibly the best season of NRL we've ever had. So I would have just left the rules how they were right there. Like, we got the game perfect. Let's just leave it. We need to maybe get to a point where we stop tinkering with it too much. But in saying that, I mean, like I talked about before, I think that ideally the NRL would want the games to go down to the wire, the 70th minute, and it's still in the balance. And we haven't quite got that mix right. So I think that there might be more tinkering to come. You don't want to be fans logging out sort of 50-minute mark because it's already over type thing. So I think that might be the next iteration of rule changes that we're looking at.
Nice, boys. All right, let's get a roll on. Let's talking about some of those blowouts though. Let's quickly just review some of those games. Some of the big ones we saw. We've touched on the Broncos and the Eels, and I don't know, like the Broncos were good for 30 minutes, but the Eels, you think they're settled? They're still kind of finding their feet. Kalma was good. I don't know, like it's just some lapses in the Broncos' defense more than anything.
I think that they identified that spot between Ezra Mam and Zach Jashevsky on that side. There's some weak defensive people
Who's
there.
usually there?
So they really targeted that side. Year. Yeah, so I'm not convinced around that defensive edge a little bit. But just coming back to the Broncos, I think you think about when they won the comp, they were behind against the Raiders in that first week of the playoffs. They were losing, 14-0 against the Panthers before coming back. They were behind against the Storm before coming back and winning it. If you think about that World Club Challenge, they were losing. They were getting pumped before they came back and and it got respectable. They're like really a 40, 50-minute team who can blow you off the park in that time. And I think it feels like that's how they're playing. They're just like, well, we can win it in 40 minutes of excellence and then try to just fight us around for the rest. And that's really catching up with them. I don't think that they can do that anymore. So they've got to get a bit more balance. I heard you talk about Reece Walsh earlier, Bob, and you're right. He's a all-in, all-or-nothing type of guy. And sometimes Reynolds needs to rein him in a little bit and take control and say, let's be a bit more patient and build the sets and play the 80-minute game type thing. Kick the corners, back our defence and get the ball back in good field position so we can attack on the next phase, as opposed to let's just go all in and try and score a try off every single set type thing, which Reece Walsh has that mentality. And just getting that balance right, I'm not sure that they've got that balance right. I reckon Adam Reynolds needs to take control of the team. Reece Walsh has got so much credit and so much praise, rightly so. He basically won them their final series, but it feels like they've gone all in. Reece Walsh will give you as much rope as you want, and he's trying to score a try every time he touches the ball almost. And that's just not sustainable in the NRL. You get suffocated out of the game. Penrith did a good job of suffocating them out of the game, forcing them to these errors and then punishing for it. So just getting that balance between what Reece Walsh wants to do and Adam Reynolds having the control, I think is a bit more what they need to do.
Nice. Any more on that Broncos Eels, Bob?
Just around Reece Walsh, like, you look at how electric he is, but he's not the only sort of fullback that's like that at the moment in the NRL. Like Jai Gray, you got Keanu,
JP.
you've got Kalaponga, you've got Sufatlongo out of the Storm, who's electric as shit.
Yeah.
You got Tuapiki when he comes on, at the Warriors. There's all these like small body, super fast, quick off the mark type guys. I think Reece, in terms of like that superstar eliteness, he's probably right around the top of that sort of bunch of guys. What he doesn't have is like what Stace was talking about. Like, he doesn't have that mentality of, I'm going to grind it out. This is only tackle one. I'm going to try and get some meters and then go back to my position. Like, he doesn't want to get a few handful of meters and then go back to position. He wants to sidestep the whole team, try and do some amazing bullshit spin move out of a tackle, step, chip for myself, shit like that. And when it comes off, it's amazing. But that's his problem. This is my whole thing with Reece Walsh. It's just that level of maturity that you're now 4 years into. Is this his fourth year? It's be year 4 or 5. In the NRL, it's like, come on, man. You need to have developed some of that shit that grounds you so that you can get through your work. The whole do your running game, but don't just try and score tries. Like, also try and put others into space and try and use other people to, you're always going to attract defenders because you're Reece Walsh and people are going to be like, shit, got to tackle Reece. They'll attract so many people and there's gaps everywhere. It's like, use your head, man. Where is your game knowledge? That whole game nous. I don't know. He's rocks and diamonds at the moment for the Broncos, and I mean, scoring 2 quick tries but then letting in 5 is a liability, and like Stace said, unsustainable. And you can't have performances like that consistently through the year. Otherwise, these guys are going to be cellar dwellers, along with Manly, who was my spoiler pick.
Yes, let's jump into that Seagulls game. Bit of a blowout. Seagulls, I don't even know. They were TAB favourites for this game, but Ponga put on a show up until he was pulled out, as well as Dylan Brown. Questions on, we'll get to whether they'll be playing this week. Your thoughts on Manly, just what's going on. That was your pick for bottom 8, and yeah, at times they look like they were back to being Manly, but man, come to you first, Bob. There's your wooden spoon, your Spoonula old team, man.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Spoonula was more just a Eric, Cam, and Raj. But just watching them in the first 2 rounds, it's like, oh my goodness, these guys are making my wooden spoon pick come true. Like, they're playing so shit. Like, you know, we talked about the exit of DCE, the talk about the talismanic player and the culture that he brought. And this is what I mean. Like, those close games, DCE would be able to, like, pick the team up just by force of personality and skill alone, you know. DCE was able to do that, and he's done that at, like, Queensland rep level. And there's no one in the Manly team that can do it. Like, yeah, Fogarty, coming from the Raiders, he had a great season with them last year. But it's like, Sully, you're a good player, but I don't think he's a great player enough to pick up aging Tom Trebojevic. Can't really call him Turbo because the man has lost his speed, man, and he's too
quick
slow.
on him, man.
Like they do,
That's a low blow. That's a low blow.
And so his eyes are seeing gaps that his body would have taken him through 4 or 5 years ago. But these days, unfortunately, Turbo is not as fast as he was. But not only that, you know, you're getting West Tigers Luke Brooks now. Luke Brooks was Kaea at the Tigers, and then he was like, "Yeah, I want to get out of here because, you know, I ain't gonna win nothing here. I'm gonna get to a club that's it." So that he's brought all those same detriments to his game that he had at the Tigers, and now he's at Manly with that same sort of trying to push the pass, trying to do too much, and it's like not coming off. And I feel sorry for Manly supporters because Manly in the weekend against the Knights were just terrible. They were terrible. I don't know what was going on, but they had so many handling errors, missed tackles. It was, you know, and you know, that 4 Pines Park crowd was so quiet in that game. I was like, they just put the shut up your mouth juice on their supporters, and so I felt sorry. That's because they were 2 home games as well for Manly, right?
Yeah,
in the first 2. Games. Oh, back to back like the Broncos. Broncos and Manly with the back-to-back home games can't emulate the form of the Warriors with the back-to-back home games. Man, 2 40s in a row. What the heck?
Stace, your thoughts on Ponga though in that game?
Yeah, he was outstanding. I thought that Ponga, like Tana Boyd, to me, they've been the 2 standout guys. Ponga before his injury was outstanding. You know, just coming back to what Bob mentioned, you know, you think about, I thought you raised a really good point when you brought up the Seagulls as a wooden spoon contender with Cherry Evans moving on and how important he was to them. So you think about Manly traditionally, they've had a roster that's been quite stacked with rep players. You look over the years, they've had origin players everywhere, elite talent across the park. But right now, you know, that's not really the case. You know, Cherry Evans was playing origin. He's gone. You think about Homole. He was sort of a wider squad member for New South Wales. Turbo, he's not consistently in the origin conversation anymore. So this is probably a weaker Manly roster than what we're used to seeing. But for me, the bigger issue isn't the talent, it's the effort. So if we look at that first game against the Raiders, you know, Ethan Sanders kicks that field goal. And I brought this up in the group chat.
Yeah.
You know, Jake Trebojevic, he chases across from marker, and everyone else is just standing there. You know, Paseka's got hands on hips, and no one else is putting any pressure on. You know, that just can't happen. And just this week against the Knights, Ruben Garrick gets this line break. He's like 6-7 Knights guys chasing him back. There's no one supporting him. He plays the ball, and there's no one there. And I'm like, man, the Knights just pick it up and then run back.
I was cracking up at Vossi when he's like, "Oh, Jason Saab's like a glitch in the game. He's just like gone off the screen."
That was so weird. It's like he did the LeBron James where he passes the ball and thinks his player's going to get a 3-point. He ran back down the other end of the court and the guy missed. It's like,
what are you doing?
But
Get on
just
side.
Those efforts, yeah.
just on that, because like Bob, you mentioned, they don't have the talent, but now, that's those 2 points. That's about urgency. That's about effort. So the NRL is quite good. You can sort of carry a weaker roster if you work hard, you stay connected as a team. You can sort of overachieve in a competition like the NRL. But when those effort areas drop off, that's when the alarm bells start ringing. And that's what I'm worried about for Manly. They've got a weak roster, and they're flipping if it's not there. So, gee, I might have to check those wooden spoon odds because I might jump on for the cheeky 10 on. I've been disappointed, man.
And that's the thing, though. Is it definitely, surely, what game do we get to when it's alarm bells for Seaball?
I'm already at alarm because that effort, you got to try hard.
Yeah.
You got to support, or someone gets a break, you got to support. You got to get to dummy half.
Yeah.
You got to
And
charge
obviously
down
the message,
and kick
like,
off
surely
with
he must
golden
have seen
points.
the same. So he would have had to send the message
acceptable.
and it's not being heard then. Or they just sick of hearing, or, yeah.
Well,
right,
I don't know if you've heard Seabold talk, but he's a really smooth talker. He sounds like he's a guy who interviews well for jobs. But we got to remember, he won the wooden spoon as the coach of the Broncos. The only ever wooden spoon was won by him. I don't rate him as a coach. I think he's a smooth talker. He interviews well. So he interviewed for that Manly job, and they're like, "Wow, this guy sounds like he knows some stuff." He doesn't. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He's on the chopping block, old Seabold.
For sure. Sure.
On to one more of the coaches that's potentially on the chopping block. The Cowboys, the West Tigers look great, though. It was the first time we've seen them since the trial games. And Jerome Luai looks happy. He was close to being my all eyes. Stace, you catch this game? Tigers romping the Cowboys?
I did, actually. The West Tigers have been traditional cellar dwellers as well, so it's hard to know what version of the Tigers is going to show up. But I did pick the Cowboys for my wooden spoon. And they've got actually a lot of origin players, a lot of rep players, so see them get, pumped the way they got pumped, that 0-2 to start the season. It's that in itself, it's not really a disaster, but it's just who they've lost to that I'm worried about. So they lost to the Knights in week 1. They are the actual wooden spooners. The West Tigers are, in my opinion, they're going to be sort of closer to the bottom than the top. And realistically, those are sort of two teams in that bottom tier conversation that you should be trying to get wins against to start the season. So, if you want to avoid that wooden spoon, because they've still got the Melbournes and the Penriths and the Warriors. I'm putting the Warriors in that top elite category now. They've still got those top teams to play. So, if you're dropping teams against points, points against teams at your level, what happens when you come up against those top sides? So I'm quite concerned about the Cowboys, to be fair.
Bobby, you catch the game?
Just the highlights, bro. Dewey's looking good, man. Jerome Luai's looking good. That Jarrell Skelton had a eat-ass good game. But I remember last week we talked about who I wanted the Tigers to unlock, and that was Clay Pierce-Paul. Like, I wanted him to... Like, he's a talent in their English team. And I thought the Knights didn't really know what the hell to do with him last year. So I was like... And then when I seen that he'd come over to the Tigers, I was like, man... That's a pretty good edge back row they've got there, man. So, man, and he scores 2 tries.
Good,
I was like, what the hell?
Clay Pierce-Paul, sorry, just jump in. He scored 3 tries in 44 games for the Knights and 2 tries in 1 game for the Tigers. So 100%, I don't know what they were using him for, battering ram or what, but
they didn't know how to use him. That's why I think the Tigers are going to be a way different team this year because their forwards... the Finey brothers have got some really good go forward. They've got good edges. They've got good wingers. Man, that Low Lili'i, is that his name? Or Low Lili'i or Low Lili'i?
Yeah.
I was thinking, what are the commentators saying? Low Lili. And I was like,
Low Lili.
It's probably Low Ili or Low Lili'i or something.
Yeah, Low Lili.
He's good too, man. I was like, whoa, where are all these speedsters coming from? But to the Cowboys, man, there was this try that Dewey scored where he just sort of, the markers just went this way, one went that way, and Dewey just walked through the middle. I was like, that has to be the dumbest try I've ever seen. It was, you know when you're watching like Harry Grant, it's like, shit, I'm going to put money on Harry Grant, man. I know he's going to score tries. He's that hooker that looks for those sorts of things. Dewey's not. He's a halfback. So, man, he just came, picked it up, and it just waltzed all over the trailer. I was like, silly. Yeah, Cowboys are playing terrible, and so yeah, they're trash at the moment.
All right, let's get before we go into our previews, let's come back to our boys. We gave them some awards earlier on, but we didn't wrap the game. Just out on the field, like just what you guys saw and what you were most impressed about in that game. I think for me, like just that D in the end, like when we were down on the line a few times, just they held their nerve. Come to you, Stace, like just what you saw, like what it really, we talked about the players that impressed us, but as a team, what you've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. One thing that really stood out for me over the weekend, especially just being at the game, was, I think you touched on it a little bit as well, Bob, was how the New Zealand the Warriors, they handled the adversity that they faced. If you look at what actually happened, that was a game they probably shouldn't have won as comfortably as they did, if I'm being honest. You think about Kurt Capewell ruled out, literally minutes before kickoff. And that's a big loss in terms of experience and knowing what to do on his edge and all the rest of it. And then you think 10 minutes into the game, Chanel, he goes off with a concussion. And at that point, the whole spine's under pressure. So we talk about this a lot, the importance of the spine in this podcast. And if you had told me before the game that we're going to start off with, C&K at fullback, Chanel and Boyd in the halves, and Egan at hooker, and then by the end of the game, we're going to have Tuolpiki at fullback, it was Egan and Boyd in the halves, and Sam Healy at hooker. I would have said, well, we probably lost that game then if that happened. That much adversity and changes within a game, that's probably a loss. But, you think about what happened instead. The Warriors didn't panic. We stayed composed. We stuck to our structures and just keep building pressure through the defence and the field position on the back of Tana Boyd's kicking game. So the forward pack, they really stepped up. The Raiders get a lot of credit for their forwards, possibly the best forward pack in the comp. And I thought our forwards did a really good job there. We took control of the middle, and that allowed the reshuffled spine that we had just to play their roles without overcomplicating stuff. So I think that was sort of the biggest takeaway for me. The Warriors team doesn't look, fragile anymore. In previous years, that type of disruption, that probably derails us a little bit. Yeah, that's over. But now they look like a team that can absorb that pressure, adapt on the fly, and still get the job done. So, going forward, I'm going forward with a lot of confidence for sure.
Nice. Bobby?
Yeah, me too, man. One thing I wanted to say about the game was that our bench, man, really, really provided a lot of impact. Sam Healy coming on, Demi coming on. Tannistell Smith, he's not flashy. He just comes and does what he needs to do. Won't miss tackles. He just gets his 9 to 10 meters every run. And then Tuolpiki, when he came on at fullback, when Chance moved into the halves, I was like, so he was the man. I really liked Tane's energy when he came on. We were down a bit, but you know what was cool about that game? It was freaking played in some terrible conditions. It rained the whole game. It was wet weather footy. You thought, oh yeah, shit, it's wet weather. They got to keep a little bit closer together, hard out. But no, man, they were expansive ass. They were doing all sorts of bullshit that came off. Everyone's hands stuck, man. And then, fortune favors the brave. Oh, except for Raj.
When he was on my side too, it was like, Raj, come on, Raj.
Don't worry, Raj. You still got those 2 points. So you featured on the scorecard. But that little chip that Tana did, and then bloody what's his name? Aaron Clark just stuck his foot out and dunk, and then comes back to Tana Boyd. I was like, it's our day. It's our day today. Because you know what? It really felt like that ref was trying to fucking do us over, man. I was like, Saleh, come on, man. Surely you can see these shoulder charges, these late tackles, no warnings, no penalties. That one where Teopiki got cleaned out by Hudson Young. I was like,
Yeah.
what the? But the penalty wasn't for that. It was for the early tackle.
Taps,
On
direct contact to the head.
on the outside. I was like, hey. Like, there was some really frustrating calls from the ref. And I was like, is this the universe bringing things into balance? Like, we had all the calls last week, and it just felt like the calls were not going our way. But, you know, Fisher Harris getting that HIA, I was a little bit concerned because he went off with HIA, and I was like, oh, shit. We're already a little bit down on leadership. But it's the forward back, bro. Like, resilient. They were able to just muscle up. And I think Stace touched on what's most important was that they didn't panic. Like, they had all that shit that was happening around them, but they just stuck to that game plan. And, like, Leka could have gone off and tried to do flashy as shit things, but he knew that he was playing an 80-minute role and not an impact off the bench guy. So he wasn't trying to do flashy no-look around the back passes, offloads, and all that sort of stuff. He was there to just stay on his edge, make sure he kept on
just
his
his
man.
normal step, run through free people,
yeah,
score a try.
Oh yeah, far out. That whack he did, and who was that wing? That was Savage or someone. Broke his ankles and then he came back in
off Sanders. Yeah,
bang. Savage was ankles broken, fended off bloody Kaea Weeks. Had 2 guys on him and still scored that second try. So, man, it was such a good performance from the boys. And man, they're the hottest ticket in town, man. Honestly, like the Blues could be winning every game by 50 points, but they won't be selling out Eden Park.
Oh,
like,
and there's the thing, it's FOMO now. Like, watching the team, watching the crowd. Like, you got to get a ticket now. It's just like if you're not a season pass holder, and it's cool. Like, they run that when they win, it's $15 a ticket. So it's cheap as like it's.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing. It's no barrier really. Like, and you can eat before you come to the game. Even the food there's not too expensive. Like, alcohol's expensive, but
are you hip flasking it in Tana or
preload or
there's binoculars
sneaking it in?
It's quite accessible, the corporate boxes actually, so you can just kind of. But yeah, nice wrap of the game, boys. Let's head over to our Eyez Kalava Cup. How the team's going? You see you're doing nicely there, Stace. Who was your matchup last week, bro?
I'm just having a look now. I don't know who it was, but I gave them a good old-fashioned touch-up, mate.
Oh, you're back to
trying
back
to
as
figure
well,
out who I played, but yeah, I've got to be a bit faster on the when they do unlock the
Golden Elites.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I've got to be a bit faster when they do the unlock. Everyone's getting the good players.
Yeah.
Before I even have a look, so
I picked up all of those guys from Vegas that were guns.
Yeah. I haven't done any good moves because all the good players has already gone by the time I have a look. So I'm pretty happy with my team coming second. So I'm pretty happy with that. Got a good hard game this week. Me and you, Bob. So second against
the bogey team.
Oh, you're the top scorers as well from the last round. So
I was beating you last year from the bottom of the table.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bronk's still struggling. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if his night shift is stopping him from checking his team. I don't think let's just see if he's got it. Oh no, he enabled his captain, but see, how does Tedesco get Dally in, but he only scored 84 as a captain? Means he only got 42.
I'll question those judges. I reckon they just go there, drink the beers and at the corporate boxes and Tedesco probably played good. Give him Nico Hines, just give it to the usual suspects, Kele Ponga.
But yep, you got a few matchups. Stace doing well there, coming in second place. We'll check out the ladder in the next few weeks, but at the moment, God Squad on top. Stace, nice, Bob, coming in. NZ Steppers, Clutch City. The whole crew. D's Nuts in fifth, and Golden Elites take out the top 6. Tryhards in 7th. Bronx coming in 8th. Madden still sitting above Samoa Mandingo. Samoa Mandingo's a late bloomer, so like his Panthers. Don't count him out just yet. All right, boys, let's get into the previews. Your predictions for this week coming. A few good matchups. Actually, it's some of these games could be interesting. Yeah, just with the six agains, like they could go either way. So be interesting to see how you kind of judge it from the previous weeks now. Some of these are probably a bit closer. We'll come to this first game Thursday night, Raiders and the Dogs. How you seen this, Stace?
Yeah, we talked about this sort of a little bit in the preview, but before we started, but big move in the centres there for the Bulldogs. And Ari Tuala named it right centre, replacing Bronson Cherry there. So he'll be defending next to Lockie Galvin. I'm not sure how strong that's going to hold up defensively. I wonder if the Raiders might go after them too. So Hudson Young playing on that left edge there. He might be in for some luck. I'm going to go for the Raiders there. I'll go Hudson Young to get a double there. Running it, Tuala and Galvin. Just smashing between those two.
Boy, how you seen this one? That's a good tip on there of Bronson Cherry's future up in the air, it sounds like.
Yeah, GA Stadium, these guys are wanting to bounce back from getting spanked by the Warriors. It's probably just a little bit of a concern at the Dogs. Like, yeah, I don't know. That just the way Cherry's not in the team at the moment is a cause of concern. Like whenever news hits, it's always like, well, where there's smoke, there's fire, man. So even though they might play it down like it's not that bad, the player just wants to move on. It's like, nah, man, it's probably worse than what it actually has been reported. So I think that might play into just the preparation of the Doggies this week. So I'm going to pick the Raiders too, but it'll probably be a close game.
Nice. I'm going to follow that up and I'll go Raiders as well for all the same reasons. Let's go straight across to the Roosters Panthers. This should be a good matchup. Roosters with a nice little bounce back there. I don't know if that people running on the field kind of ruined the Rabbits' momentum. Maybe. But your thoughts on this one, Bobby?
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one to call. But as experienced as DCE is and Sam Walker, I still don't think they're a proven halves combo. Like, I wasn't too convinced when they played us. And even though DCE scored a real opportunist try from some weak defense last week against the Rabbitohs, I'm still not convinced with that halves combo. So, Stace always talks about spine, and I don't know. They're coming up against the Panthers, who are red hot at the moment. So it's going to be an uphill battle for the Roosters, even though they're playing at home. So for me, it's going to be a Panthers close game to the Panthers.
Nice. Stace?
Yeah, I'll jump on that. You think about the Panthers, they held the Broncos to 0. They had the Sharks to 0 at halftime, so their defense is spot on. I remember when the Warriors played the Roosters, just coming back to just thinking about something you mentioned earlier, Bob, they really dominated through the middle, but once they got that middle ascendance, they attacked the edges and they went after Cherry Evans in particular. Remember, Capewell got that mean try where he ran off a short ball that was in a hole that Cherry Evans was supposed to be filling, and they had some real luck attacking his edge. He's had defensive issues for the duration of his whole career, so I wonder whoever's playing on that left side, I reckon they might go after him again, just taking a playbook out the Warriors there. So I don't know who's playing left centre there out of Casey McLean, I think. I might go for him for a try there, just breaking over Cherry Evans' side. But I'm going to go for the Panthers as well.
Nice. I'm sticking with my my earlier prediction about the Panthers. So I'm going with the Roosters and this combination to start clicking. We've seen some signs last week, and I'm hoping for an improvement. I have belief in the Roosters, so we'll pick them to Storm Broncos replay. Big game of the final last year being played over in Melbourne this time. Amy Park. We've seen Melbourne, like you're saying, they've adjusted to these new rules, and the Broncos need a bounce back, and this is probably not the game that's going to happen. And I'll come to you first, Bob.
The Broncos are on a terrible run, man. And you know what I think it stems from? It stems from them being Fiaboko and changing their logo, trying to be all contemporary.
I agree.
And
That logo sucks.
It's brought such poor luck to them so far. And man, they've just gone and removed like the logo that everyone knows worldwide as the Brisbane Broncos that won all these championships, and they've changed it to this, and it's been terrible for them. They're going to be 0-3, man. Storm are going to just smash them. I reckon it's going to be a 13+ Storm all day.
Nice. All right, let's go. Stace, your thoughts on how you think this is going to run down?
Yeah, the Bronx keep stuffing out my multis. I keep picking them thinking that they're going to come right. On paper, if we look at this team on paper, it's quite a good matchup. And the results don't really show that on the table that we've seen so far. I'm going to, Melbourne at home always tough to beat. So I'm just going to go Melbourne on faith. I think it's going to be closer because I'm expecting the bounce back that I thought I was going to get last week. And I thought I was going to get in the club challenge before that. And that's what I was going to get in week 1 after the club challenge. This week, they're going to get a bounce back. It's not going to be enough. I don't think they're going to put in an improved performance. We talk about Gashevsky. I thought his defense was poor next to Ezra Mam. He's actually out with the HIA. They've got Xavier Willison on the edge, who I quite like when he plays on the edge. He's actually quite a damaging guy. I think that might improve them a little bit more. I'm going to go the Storm. Storm to win a close one, not a bloodbath.
All right, the Knights Warriors. This was looking like a good matchup. They're now without the $1 million men, but still a decent matchup. Fletcher Hunt looked really good, and they get Fletcher Sharp, so both Fletchers are in. So probably people think it's. I mean, we've got a bit of change as well. I'll come to you first, Stace.
Yeah, you take Dylan Brown and Kele out. That's 2.7 million Australian, 3.3 million New Zealand. I think that is out of the salary cap just on those two guys. And if the Knights are going to do anything, those two guys have to carry them. So from that perspective, the Warriors should be good. Luke Hansen on debut, that's a bit of I don't know if it's a worry, but it seems like we're running out of halves here. So Chanel's out. Metcalf's been out all year. We're down to sort of our fourth choice halves now, fifth choice halves, because you think if C&K was available, he probably would have played 5'8". So what does that make Luke Hansen?
Where's Tomato? Is Tomato injured?
Yeah, Tim Whitey's out as well. He broke his leg in the Indigenous game. So yeah, we're down to our sixth, seventh choice half here with Hansen. I'm not sure how significant that's going to be. Tana Boyd's been playing outstanding, so he's going to have to be the main half again with Luke Hansen on debut. I think we've got enough here. It's not going to be a blowout. We've won 2 games by a blowout, but I think we're going to win it again. And Ford, he's been outstanding. So I remember the preseason chat was about how are the Warriors going to go in the early season without, Barnett and without Metcalf. Well, you think our 2 best guys have been Ford, Barnett's replacement, and Boyd, who's been, Metcalf's replacement. So we've been outstanding. I'm going to go the Warriors in a close one there.
Bobby?
They've named Mitch on the reserves bench. Like, he's 23. So I don't know if they're going to do a swap-a-rooney and start him and push probably Marata out to 18 and Morgan Gedden out as well. I don't know. Like, they've named him, so maybe they're going to give him the week to see if he can come right. I reckon they should pull the trigger on Jet Cleary, man. Just let him have a crack.
Well, Cleary's a 7. Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, yeah,
Hansen's a genuine 6. So I think if Boyd was out, they would have gone for Cleary. So that's the difference, I think. Hansen's an out-and-out 6, and Cleary's probably more of a 7.
Yeah, Ford pick to do the damage, man.
No, I don't like him.
You don't like him?
Nah, I listened to this guy. I'm going to give a guy a shout out. The Niche Cachet. I'm not sure if he's followed that guy. He's a Warriors hardcore. He does a lot of stuff around the development side. But he did this piece. I'm going to steal some of his points. I'll give him some credit around the number of passes that the Warriors do, the forward pack do. So the most passes is obviously Aaron Clark, as you'd expect. He's a ball playing lock. But the guy who does the second most passes is Dimitri Vaimonga.
Oh.
So when Aaron Clark comes off, Dimitri does the ball playing lock role. And then the guy who's got the least amount of passes is Tana Smith. He's got 0 passes in 2 games. So his job is to do the hit-ups, and Dimitri's job off the bench is to be the ball-playing middle. So I don't know how Murata fits into that. He's not a better ball-playing than Dimitri. He's not a bit harder runner than Tana Smith, so I don't see him taking any of those 2 jobs. So I'm kicking him out. Sorry, Murata.
So he might just be a
either of those 2
placeholder.
jobs better.
Bring Barney in.
All right, let's move straight over to the Sharks Fins. Your guys' thoughts on this game?
I'm just having a look now. Good teams. Yes, the Dolphins getting some guys back. Some Max Plathers back, filling in the hooker role. So I'm not sure who was doing it before, but I think that's a good return for them. I picked the Dolphins to be good. They haven't been that good. Sharks have actually surprised me. Or they haven't. I always underestimate them, which I mentioned before. I'm going to go for the Sharks at home, just because they're at home. So I'll take the Sharks on that one.
Bobby, Battle of the Sea. Who takes it?
Yeah. I don't know. This is a toss-up for me. Just because the Dolphins on their day, man, they can be devastating. And they showed glimpses of that last week. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Dolphins for this one in a close one.
Yeah, Sharks, I didn't like. They did look good in patches last week too when Trindle's on. I don't know. Katoa was a bit. I don't know what's going on there. Like, he's usually a gun, but he kind of just. I don't know if he was disinterested or just off last week. So I'm hoping for a bounce back from Katoa. So I'll go with the Fins.
One highlight I took.
Double as well.
Herbie double. One highlight that I took from that Sharks Penrith game was there was a bit of a scrap that was happening between Hazelton and Dylan Edwards.
Oh,
and Brian Tuttle comes running in. And then he's like rubbing both their heads like this. Just on the side. I was like, bizza. You're an egg. But it was so funny when he ran in because it was so serious and he just ran in and just diffused it. Like rubbing both their bald heads.
Finishing out Saturday, Rabbits, Tigers. Rabbits, yeah, missed that one, but AJ with the record could push on. Tigers were impressive last week. Bobby, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game to call because, you're right. I think without that 16-minute break, I reckon Souths could have probably gone on with that and beaten Roosters. But yeah, it was just too much of a break. It really slowed their momentum down, and then they just weren't able to get it over the line. And the Tigers were really impressive, man. Like, they're playing like old school Warriors. That whole Jerome Luai steppy, just throwing passes to guys who are just always there in support.
Ready
like he's
for it, yeah.
Got Jareem Buller just sniping around, sniffing them out, trying to score tries. And I thought he botched a try where he'd got that break and he had Buller on the inside, but then he sort of looked to his left and then tried to step and go himself. And I was like, oh, come on, Luai, you gotta pick and choose when you do that steppy stuff. But otherwise, you just need to put your speedsters away. This will be a close game, but I'm going to pick the Tigers for this one.
Nice.
Yeah. Good points about Luai also. I think what we see is, remember he was saying he was wanted to be Batman, which is why he went there. But he's probably an out-and-out 6. And I think Dewey's doing a good job of taking a lot of that organizational pressure off him, which I wasn't convinced Dewey had, to be fair. And he's actually done a good job there. I'm not sure what I saw last week with the Tigers. Are the Tigers that good, or are the Cowboys that Kaea? I actually picked the Cowboys to win the spoon. I'm going to go the latter. I think that the Cowboys are Kaea as hell. So I'm going to go the Rabbitohs to win. I think the Tigers were flattered by that scoreline last week. I'll go the Rabbits to win that one. Bounce back factor.
Yes,
Good to see
I
Paddy
agree.
Herbert back as well from the in the Tigers again.
Paddy Herbert back from. He was ex-Warriors. Where did he go after Warriors? Titans?
Yeah.
All right, a couple salad dwellers, but they've been impressive in patches. But Eels and the Dragons. Hoping the Eels can go on with it, like what we saw against the Bronx. Like they've got it. But yeah, I don't know. Depends on the Eels. Whether they play down to their opponents. I'll go with the Eels on this one. Stace?
Yeah. This is going to be a tough one too. Pretty low.
Tough one to watch.
They don't have a lot of hope for. I'm going to take the Dragons on that one. I think they've been okay for the most part, but they've got a few issues to sort through. I like the look at some of their forwards as well. Getting some good go forward. And Atkinson's actually been okay at 7. Not convinced about Flanagan at 6, but he's still been okay. So I think they'll get a win this week.
Oi.
I hadn't watched their game last week, and so prior to coming on, I thought the Eels all day. But this is the first of the 2 Lekolia games on Sunday. But I watched the highlights prior to coming on to the potty tonight, and yeah, Atkinson scored. He set up this really cool try where he stepped to the left, and then all the defense went with him, and then he fired this bullet pass right out to the right, man, and it was so cool. I was like, holy shit, that was a cool try. And then they scored in the corner, and I was thinking, man, he's got some vision, the Atkinson. I'm still not convinced with bloody Kyle Flanagan being there, but Atkinson is the man, and that was really. I was like, shit, they've got a little bit of game nous about them with him in the halves there, and it was good to see Val Holmes get across the line last week and scoring a really good try. Moneyman Tupolotu scored a try. It'll be a tough game, but I'm picking the Dragons as well in a close one.
Nice. That's we're going to increase the multi. All right. And rounding out the Dolia ones for the weekend. Cowboys and the Titans. We all know you guys' thoughts on the Cowboys. Titans, I don't know. Kenny doesn't look like the Kenny from the Kiwis. KP walks straight in at the moment. Stace, if you're going to be watching this game, how do you think it's going to go?
Yeah, now you've mentioned these Sunday games, I might have to check if there's anything good at the movies or something, because I don't know. I'm going to stay home to watch these ones, but yeah, Cowboys, Titans, it's going to be a bottom of the barrel. It doesn't say much about, Queensland origin with Cowboys and Titans down the bottom.
More about it.
The Broncos 0-2. I think New South 3-0. That's what I think of these games. But,
David Feeder's looking great at the Rabbitohs.
yeah, I can't believe that win. I'm going to go the Cowboys just because they're at home. I've got no real analysis there. 2 teams at the bottom. Anything can happen. I predict a lot of errors. I don't know if you can bet on how many errors there are, missed tackle counts or anything like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a dire game. But I'll go the Cowboys.
Nice. Bobby?
This is a coin toss for me on who's more rubbish. To be honest, it should be the Cowboys, but I reckon the Titans are going to get up and do some eat ass and win this game. So Titans for me in a terrible close game.
Nice. And I'll round it out. I'm going Cowboys only off the back of the news that Simon's nephew, Thomas Mikaele, has been re-signed with the Cowboys till 2028. So good signs for him. Good signs for the Cowboys, like aging Tomalolo. Like he's been making some serious meters for them and just shoring up that middle. So unfortunately he got injured, but I think he'll still be back this season. So we'll see how it goes. But Cowboys for me on this one. Nice, boys. Nice sort of multi out of there from what you guys saw. So we said Hudson Young for a double, Storm 13 plus, and the Finns with Herbie in a double. All the best. Gamble responsibly. Bobby, last
Sweet.
thoughts?
Yeah, it's just been a good time to be a Warriors fan, mate.
Yes.
Hard luck, bunnies, last week. I think, tough luck to my son. He had his first sort of preseason game last week and they went down. So shout out to Caleb and his Whit Sunday Brahmins team.
Ciao, Caleb. That's right. This week. Nice. Stace, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think what really stands out after the first couple of rounds is just how many storylines are already starting to take shape across the competition. So you've got moments of history. We talked about Alex Johnstone breaking a record that stood for over 50 years. And, those are the moments that remind you just why we love the great game of rugby league. It always finds a way to produce something special. So at the same time, you've got things like us, the Warriors. We feel like they're building something bigger than just the results, which I talked about earlier. The atmosphere, the resilience, the way they're handling adversity. It feels like there's real momentum building behind them now. So, on the flip side, there are teams already facing big questions, whether it's effort, structure, or identity or whatever. Some sides are showing signs that this season might be a long one. So if things don't change quite quickly. If you just look at the broader game itself, the impact of the rules, the 6 agains, which we talked about, the way momentum can swing so quickly and how that's shaping the style of play that we're seeing sort of week to week. That's what makes the competition so good and really exciting. So every round you get something different, a bit of history, some controversy, some breakout performances, and just some big questions. So I think the best part is we're only just getting started. We're only 2 rounds in, so really happy for the footy to be back.
Just begun. Nice. Nice closing out. Bobby, awesome birthday tomorrow also. Happy 50th, bro. Hope you have a nice time celebrating with Ainga.
35.
Man, thanks for tuning in. If you've joined us up to this point, please drop us a like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Go check us out on the social pages and the website, WesWesNet.com. Okay, see you guys next week. Cheers.
So,
Sweet.
and I will...
My producer.
Yeah, we'll feel my foot ngaka. Silly hour and a half.
Where's you? Your deep analysis needs to go quick, man.
I wanted to talk about the Warriors halves. When Metcalf comes back, who's going to go where? I was looking at the time. I'm like, fuck, next week.
Yeah, when I was looking, I was like, should we only finish the topics? It's 4:50 minutes.